Good morning, Wild Tribe, and welcome to the 40-minute stretch and smile practice on this sunny, very sunny Friday afternoon. I am going to be using my mic in my headphones, so if you can't hear the music, just play your own music and flow along with me. All right, here we go. We're gonna get started. So we're gonna start in a comfortable seated position and put on your favorite track, I guess, and just get moving. Okay, so we're starting seated, tying up our hair, doing what we need to do to really get into this space, into your space, whatever that looks like today. And we're closing down our eyes. We're starting with our breath, filling up our bellies, our ribs, and our chest. And then exhaling from our bellies, from our ribs, and from our chest. So inhaling to fill yourself up, and then exhaling to let go. Creating space for what's coming next for you. And then slowly beginning to introduce movement into your body. Starting with your torso, stimulating your lunchtime digestion with gentle circles. I always like to start my classes with free flow movement. My own personal yoga practice often is not done to music. I just kind of go with whatever my body is feeling. So feel free to have some soft music playing in the background, or if you can hear the music playing here, that's great. We're still working on all this editing stuff. So for now, just getting into your belly, getting into your chest, getting into your torso, moving yourself around. Big circles. Isolating just your chest. Moving into your waist. Moving into your hips. And then slowing it down to change direction, starting by moving from your hips, big circles, moving into your waist, and then isolating your chest, letting your shoulders move here. And then coming back to stillness and your breath. We'll bring our arms into our breath, inhaling all the way up, and then exhaling, pushing down. And again. We're going to bring some mobility into our head and our neck, starting with tilting our ears down to our shoulders. You're welcome to tighten your fingers beside you here. And then back up and the other way. Back up and the other way. up and the other way again. And then we'll do a nodding movement, pulling our chin down to our chest, really elongating through the back of the neck here. Sitting up nice and tall through the chest, giving lots of space for your sternum and your pubic bone to stretch away from one another. And then inhaling, going up. And we'll come back to center, planting the right hand down or left hand down. Our right hand comes all the way up, bringing our shoulder down away from our ear. We'll inhale to lift our chest and then go up and over to the left side. Always breathing here, inhaling to fill yourself up, and then exhaling to fold that little bit further. And then we'll inhale, come back up to center, and switch sides. So nice strong arms here. Inhaling up, shoulder down away from the ear, lifting the chest, coming up and over to the right side. Staying with your breath, inhaling to fill up all the way through that right side of the body, reaching, reaching, reaching. And then inhaling back up to center. We'll inhale both arms up. And then exhale our palms facing the front of our space. Fingers up towards the ceiling. We're going to start with some scapular rotation. So what this looks like from the side is we're sitting up nice and tall. And we're going to be pulling our scapula back together and then pushing them forward apart. So inhaling to pull them back. Keeping your arms nice and strong here. Crooks of the elbows pointed up towards the ceiling. Coming backwards. Squeezing those shoulder blades together. And then pressing the sky away. So pulling back. And pushing away. Pulling back. And pushing away. Pulling back one last time and then pushing away. And then we'll come into some shoulder shrugs, pulling our shoulders up to our ears, squeezing them behind and pressing them down. So coming up, back, down, and forward. Up, back, down, and resting. Up, back, down, and forward, and then opposite. So one's pressing down, one's pressing up, side to side. And then we'll come into our elbows, taking our elbows, shrugging them up as high as we can, and then rotating them up and down. So lowering our elbows down, reaching just our elbows up, loose wrists come up and down and down. So elbows up, arms rotate upwards, and come back down and lower. So elbows pull up, lift, and back down. There we go. So taking our left hand, we'll bring it around in front. Right arm comes underneath, just pulling on that shoulder a bit, reaching the palm behind us. Nice gentle pull. And then we'll open up again and pull over to the other side. Keeping the shoulder down away from the ear and the chin. Chin slightly tucked so the neck is nice and long. And then we'll release that, shake it all out. Coming forward, we'll turn onto our mats if you haven't already done so. Coming into all fours, making sure that your hips are directly above your knees. Your knees themselves are about hip width apart, 2 fists between. And then coming forward onto your hands, our wrists are directly underneath of the shoulder blades. Fingers are fanned out nice and wide. We're going to take a big breath to fill ourselves up. And then as we exhale, tucking the tailbone under first, pushing the sky away, even walking our hands a little bit closer to our knees, really rounding through the spine here. And then as we inhale, we lift our hips, we lower our belly, we squeeze our shoulder blades together, and we lift our gaze, coming into a cow back. And then then exhale, tilting the tailbone, keeping those hips from pressing backwards, tucking the tailbone under, pushing the ground away, arching the spine. And then inhale, lower the belly, lower the chest, lift the gaze. And we're going to bring in some cylindrical movement to this cat-cow sequence by moving our belly around in a circle. So again, trying to keep those hips and shoulders where they are as you start to move around in a circle, like you're drawing a circle with your belly button on your thighs, moving big circles here. And then back the other way. And then coming back into stillness, we're going to drop our spine to a neutral place, working with opposites here. So keeping our right hand planted and our left knee grounded, we're going to reach back with our right leg and forward with our left hand. We're going to inhale to lift them up as high as we can. And then exhale, arching the spine, bringing the knee to the chest. We'll inhale to open and exhale to arch. Inhale to open, exhale to arch. We'll inhale to open, bending the knee, twisting to the left, reaching for that back ankle. Twisting from the belly, from the ribs, and from the chest to the left side. And then releasing arm and leg forward, we'll bring it back down to the mat, switching sides. So right, left leg out, right arm forward, lifting up as high as you can go, and then exhaling, rounding your spine as much as you can, tucking that knee into the chest, and then reaching and tucking. And then we'll come back to a planted place. Taking once again our right leg, we'll flex our toes, open our leg to the side like we're relieving our dog. So from the side, we're all lined up. From the front, just like this. Lifting our knee and our hip square to the floor. Lifting up to the side, and we're gonna pull it up to our elbow, or shoulder, sorry, and then reach it back, opening to the side. So your left hip is opened up to the side, almost like a side plank, but there's a slight twist in the front half of the body here. So knee parallel to the floor, up to the shoulder, and reach back, up to the shoulder, reach back, up to the shoulder, reach back. This time we're gonna plant our left hand into the ground and open up into a modified half moon pose. So keeping those arms stacked right on top of another, shoulders down away from the ears, floating ribs press inward to engage the abdominals, and then we'll pulse gentle. Keep going, keep pulsing. We're trying to activate this glute hip space. And then we'll reach back, grab onto that ankle, open up through the ribs, squeeze the shoulder blade, nice opening. And then release back. Pulling that right arm into the chest, we'll twist back to the ground. Taking a quick child's pose. Tucking our toes underneath, we'll sit back for our soul stretch. So toes tucked under, reaching back, untucking those baby toes. Coming in with the backs of the wrists pressed towards one another, and then the wrists themselves press up towards the ceiling. Coming into your breath, shoulders away from the ears, stretching out our soles as we relieve our wrists. And then we'll untuck our hands into Anjali Mudra, our prayer pose. Give them a little shake out. And then come forward up off of the toes, pointing the toes back. We'll sit back on our ankles, on our heels, and lift our knees up for a nice ankle stretch before coming forward. I'll switch sides here. We're gonna now this time bring the left leg up to the side. We're gonna pull it up to the knee and straighten back. I gotta watch out for my stuff here. So knee up into the shoulder, reaching back. So a side note on space, if you have room to roll out your mat, you have room to do your yoga. Obviously watching out for all of our precious heirlooms as we kick our legs, but just doing the best you can with the space you have, especially while we're confined to our homes. So reaching that knee way up and pressing it way back. And one more time, way up and way back. And then planting into that right hand, making sure that right knee is stable on the ground, bringing the left hand into the chest, keeping that left leg parallel to the floor, stacking the shoulders one on top of another, elbows totally 90 degrees in the air, opening up to half moon or modified half moon. And then we'll gently bend that knee, reaching back for the ankle, pressing in to the hand, opening through the chest. Really pressing into that bottom foot, keeping you nice and stable, opening right up. Oops. Left hand into the chest, untwist. This time turning the toes under, taking the knees wide, sitting the hips back, walking the hands forward, chest down to the ground, child's pose. And then we're gonna lift our hips just enough to bring our knees back underneath of us, walking them slightly closer than our hips, or they're slightly ahead of our hip, turning our knees under, turning our toes under, sorry. Hands right below the shoulders. We're gonna activate lifting the knees up off of the ground. So before you go lifting your knees up off the ground, check in with your shoulders. Articulate and rotate, protract and retract, sorry. Putting your chest low and then squeezing your shoulders apart, finding a place in the middle where your back can be straight. Walking those knees so they're just underneath the belly button, flipping the toes completely underneath, taking a great big breath, filling yourself up, and then exhaling, lifting those knees 1 inch off of the floor. Big breath here, whole body activation, really grounding into the pads of the hands. Fingers are nice and wide, spread out, middle finger parallel to the long side of your mat. And we'll pull our knees together, lift them up to our belly button, and then lower them down, taking our knees wide, lifting up. So from the front, this move looks like this. We have our knees activated, we're bringing them in and up, and then opening and up. So knees together and up, and then open and up. So continuing moving in that way, bringing your knees up the center, and then opening them up and straightening the legs and back. 2 more times. Last time, knees up together, this time straightening your legs, walking your hands farther away, sending your head and chest between your hands, pressing your heels back and your hip bones up towards the ceiling, coming into downward facing dog. Go ahead, take your dog for a walk here. Really let your hips drop. Gets a nice little twisty stretch. Hips going side to side, really move out that low back. And then we're gonna work on a little unload. So we've got our dog here. We're gonna bend our knees and then straighten them again, tucking the tailbone under, rolling forward, coming to plank, almost through plank. Hips come forward, gaze comes up. Tucking your chin into your chest, rolling backwards. So 1 vertebrae at a time, keeping those knees bent. Hips go up into downward facing dog. And again, way up onto the tippy toes, tucking the tailbone under, rolling forward with your spine. Really planting into the floor here. Lifting your gaze. Hips come way forward. And then tucking the chin, lifting the chest, keeping the knees bent, hips come high, back into downward facing dog. We'll look up between our hands, raise our left leg into the air, bend that knee into the chest, coming forward to a lunge. Left knee down, catching your breath here. Coming into a low lunge, so left knee down, pointed toes, making sure that left leg at the front, so right knee down, left leg in front, is tucked up right nice and close to the shoulder. Big stretching, pressing those hips down and forward, getting a beautiful stretch through the front side of the right leg. Big breath here. And then we'll look up, lift our hips up, flip our back toes. We're going to be stepping that right foot forward to a yogi squat, but first we'll bring our hips back, lifting those left toes up towards the ceiling for half Hanumanasana or half split. This is definitely a really tight part on me, so straightening my leg is not yet there, and I've been working on this for years, so don't feel bad if you can't have perfectly straight legs. That's not what we're after. We're after a sensation of stretching happening behind your leg. So then we'll transfer our weight forward in one swift movement. That right leg comes forward into a squat. So now we're here. We're here in our squat. If you can get your heels down, great. If not, you can always reach for your blocks, put them under your heels, just to give you a little bit more stability. Or something else I like to do, have on hand are lacrosse balls or tennis balls. They're really good for foot mobility, so rolling out your feet. So you can also use things like lacrosse balls or tennis balls underneath your heels so that you can really sit back if your heels don't already go on the ground, so that you can really sit back and be squatting here. We can take our Namaste or Anjali Mudra, and we're just gonna breathe here in this squat. We're gonna do our best to keep our chest lifted and our shoulders back, keeping the head of the femur pulled back into the hip joint, making sure there's lots of fold happening in the hips and not so much in the spine. So really engaging that belly, pulling it in will give you much more stability in this pose. So our hands come here, taking a big breath. And then we'll take our left hand, reach it way up, and then reach it under for the right ankle as the right hand goes up into the air. Nice big twist. And then we'll come back to center. And then that right hand goes for left ankle, right hand. Left hand goes all the way in the air, big twist. And then coming back to center, removing your balls or your blocks if you had them there. And then coming back to lunge on the other side. So coming through down dog, lifting that right leg up, bending it into the chest, stepping through to lunge on the other side, lowering down that back leg, pointing the toe, taking that tailbone, tucking it under, and pressing it down and forward. Making sure that knee is lined up with the shoulder. If you have any body or clothing in your way, you're welcome to take your foot out to the side to give you that little bit more movement. So we're going to lift our hips slightly and then tuck our tailbone and press it down and forward. So we're getting a nice long line through the front side of the body. So nice breaths here in this lunge. And then we're going to flip those back toes, straighten that leg. Oh, sorry, keep that knee bent, flip the back toes, and then transfer our weight backwards, flexing those front toes up towards the shin or the ceiling for half Hanumanasana or half split on the other side. Big stretch through that back chain of the body or posterior chain. Nice big stretch for the hamstrings. So engaging Uddiyana Bandha in there, pulling it up. Uddiyana Bandha is your belly button in and up. Mula Bandha is the one at your perineum floor. So engaging that to get lots of stretch out of your hamstrings. And then in one swift movement, we're going to look up, getting ready with that back leg, stepping it through and forward into our squat on the other side. So this time we're going to plant our heels best we can, Keep our hands on the floor directly above our toes. Here, I'll do this way. And then we're gonna straighten our legs up, pressing the knees back behind you. Coming in straight legs or slightly bent, just making sure you're hinging at your hips, not from your spine. Keeping those hips high, high, high. And folding forward. Taking the thumbs, tucking them in opposite elbows. Letting the top half of your body be heavy. Getting a beautiful stretch through the back chain, posterior chain of the body here. So bringing the feet together can be a nice change. Gentle rock side to side. Getting a good stretch through the back body. Then releasing the arms down, we're going to take our hands, fingers, if you can, and tuck them underneath of the toes. If you can't quite get there, bending your knees until you can, until you're almost standing on your entire hand. So the back of the wrist is on the mat, heels firm into the mat, face tucked in towards the knees, and straightening your legs as best you can, maybe just walking them out one at a time. And then we'll nice and slowly let our feet out, tucking our tailbone. We'll roll up one vertebrae at a time. Coming all the way to standing. Because of the size of my space here, you're definitely going to lose my head in the video. Oh well. We'll inhale, bringing the arms all the way up. And then exhale, leading with the chest, forward fold. And we're going to go through this a couple times. So inhaling, tucking the tailbone under, rolling up one vertebrae at a time, like you've got a big tail, pulling your back nice and long. And then arms come all the way up. Prayer at the top, right above your head, bending at the elbows, folding forward again. Continuing here, moving a little faster. One more time. And then we're going to look up at the top of our mat, walking our hands forward, fronting them back, stepping our feet wide, or long backwards, for plank. So making sure with your plank you're not sinking into your back, but you're also not arching your spine. You want to find a nice neutral place where your belly's tucked in. You have lots of strength through your hands, taking those elbows, tucking them under to really lock in your shoulders. And then just doing, you're welcome to put your knees down at any time. We're going to do some shoulder shrugs. So scapular push-ups here, pressing back up. So squeezing the shoulder blades together, pressing them back up, squeezing the shoulder blades together, pressing them back up, coming down onto our forearms. So you're welcome to take a dolphin hands here with your arms on the mat and interlacing the fingers. We're going to dip our hips side to side. For 8, 7, 3, 2, 1. Knees down, hips come back, chest comes through the arms. Then we're going to roll up one vertebrae at a time, pressing our pubic bone down into the mat, sliding our arms forward, coming into Sphinx. So really gripping the floor here, pulling traction, your chest comes forward, gaze lifted, full breaths. And then we'll release our elbows, lower ourselves down, bringing our hands underneath of our shoulders, we'll push ourselves back up, and then stepping onto our forearms, we'll kick our legs back for plank once again, and hip dips. Other way this time. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 2, 1. This time wide knees, pointed toes, hips come back, all the way back, forehead rested on the mat, hands come behind the spine, interlacing fingers. Begin rocking your forehead side to side on the mat. This is a really, really excellent stress reliever. Roll out that brow. So side side to side, really getting into the eyebrows here. Even coming forward, gently rolling onto the crown of the head and the hairline. Rolling side to side to side. Nodding forward and back. Forward and back. One last time forward. This time keeping the crown of the head planted onto the mat, taking the hands, planting them underneath of the shoulders. You're welcome to come up into headstand if that's in your practice today. If not, then just beginning to walk your knees in nice and close, coming more so into a rabbit pose. Walking your knees in as close as you can, holding onto your heels, pulling your head towards your knees. And then releasing that back down. We'll tuck our chin under, hips come down to heels. Rolling up, nice and slow, one vertebrae at a time. Really letting the blood leave your head, since you just stimulated it so much, it can be a little daunting. So coming to sit wide-wise on your mat, we're gonna take our left leg, stretch it out long, right foot tucked in, nice and close, sitting up nice and tall. We'll reach our left hand for our left leg, and then our right hand for our left leg. So twisting the body over to the left, and then walking it down for a gentle fold. Really breathing into the back body here. We're already to the point of slowing down and wrapping up our practice this afternoon together. So this is where I always like to add in some words of wisdom to remind us all during these times that it's so important to make the time and the space to take deep breaths and to move our bodies. It's going to be really easy over this next couple weeks to Netflix and Disney Plus and all those things and just be really, really stagnant. So I really encourage you and thank you for taking your time today to sit and breathe and be a little bit more mobile than you might have been if you hadn't dedicated this time for your movement. So folding forward. Nice movements. So big breath here, really breathing through the back of the body as you compress everything and fold. And then when that's complete on this side, bringing both knees into the chest, coming to the center of your mat, and slowly rolling yourself down. Pulling your knees into the belly, getting a nice little rock side to side, and stretching yourself out nice and long. I really encourage you in this space to take at least 10 minutes. Really let yourself relax, let your body integrate the movement that you've just done with it. We moved a lot of joints and lengthened a lot of tight muscles in this practice today. So really just taking stillness in order to let all of that goodness soak in. any need to control your breath or your body. Letting your body soften and exist. Keeping your mind occupied with the observation of your breath. Noticing when you breathe in and when you breathe out. Giving yourself permission to surrender into yourself. Holding on to softness and turning over control to your subconscious systems. In this space of complete surrender to our bodies, where our immune systems have a fighting chance. It is in this space where our body is given time and energy in order to repair and replace any vital nutrients that might be missing in the bloodstream and the tissues and the cells. So making sure after this practice that you nourish yourself completely, so that in these spaces of complete rest, your body can reset itself. Observing your last 5 breaths here in this space of stillness. And then gently giving yourself permission to reintroduce movement. Reminding that glorious soul of yours that it is in the driver's seat of this beautiful body. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Move your arms and your legs. Taking a big stretch, maybe even curling your lips into an awesome smile. Rolling onto your right or your left side. And then slowly pushing yourself up. It says low battery. Hopefully it didn't stop. I think pushing yourself back up to a seated position. And it is in this space we take our last few breaths together, filling ourselves up. Running our hands in parallel lines here. Representing that even in spaces of distance, heat and energy can be felt between them. Bringing your hands together until you can feel the presence of your other hand. And then just letting yourself breathe. Pausing up at the top, uniting our palms together. Pausing in reflection and reverence for this awesome world that we live in. Even in times of chaos, we are able to stand united with spaces between us in order to get the best out of our lives. So we'll bring our hands down together where we always remember to control our thoughts and to keep them kind and to keep them forward thinking. Because our thoughts come down and control our words. So let's keep them kind. and let's keep them future oriented. And our words control our actions. So in this space, let's keep them kind and keep them future oriented. Thank you so much for joining me in your lunchtime today, or whatever time you managed to watch this video. I wish you a happy, healthy rest of your Friday and into the weekend, and may we continue to be strong and united. My light sees your light. Namaste.